Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Brawn Body Health and Fitness Podcast. I'm so excited that you're tuning in today. Today I'm joined by John Hazdovac, the founder of Chuckwalla Fitness, and we're really going to be discussing a lot of what went into Chuckwalla Fitness and what it really stands for. So that includes, a positive gym culture and gym environment, fitness for life, even if you are someone in your, say, 30s, 40s, 50s, and children are in the picture, how you can incorporate fitness into your life, and so much more. This is a awesome episode with a lot of information jam-packed into about 35-40 minutes, so I know you're going to love it, and be sure to check out John and Chuckwalla Fitness. Their info is linked below. Enjoy the show. John, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to have you on today.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I had to call you John because I still haven't quite figured out how to pronounce your last name. Is it Hazdovac?
You said it right. I have actually a little trick for remembering my last name. My uncle used to say it. So think about a vacuum cleaner, the vac. Okay, you're looking for the vac, you lost it, and you say, "Hey, who has the vac?" John has the vac.
I like it. I like it. So for people who aren't familiar with you and Chuckwalla Fitness there in Phoenix and all the amazing things that you've done competing in CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting, would you mind kind of filling them in a little bit about your journey and backstory?
Sure. Yeah. So right now, owning Chuckwalla Fitness for the last 7 years. My wife and I running that thing, do it full time and training as an athlete. Backstory for me, I grew up in Northern California as a gymnast, did gymnastics starting at 6 years old, all the way to 17 years old, and then transitioned into actually playing football. So I played 1 year of senior high school and then 4 years of college football. And that's where I got into the weightlifting and everything like that. And then moved out to Maui. I was also a surfer boy, so grew up surfing. And Hawaii was always a destination for me. And actually, the first time I ever did CrossFit was in a garage back in 2008. And that's when I first got my, feet wet with that. Fell in love with it, but didn't stick with it. Still distracted with the waves. But met my wife to be out there, and she's originally from Phoenix. And so we lived in Hawaii for a little bit and then moved out to Phoenix to grow our family, to be closer to our families. And I'm out in the desert now. So I was like, I need to find something to do. And I was like, I remember doing that CrossFit thing. That was pretty cool. And we had a friend that was doing it in the backyard, and jumped in with her. And I was like, oh, this is it. I have a chance to compete again and, have that competitive element to it. Stay fit. I really love that I could get a really good workout in 15 minutes and I didn't have to spend all day in the gym. And so that's what kind of got me started.
And then you took that passion and turned around and made a life and career out of it, right?
Yeah, trying to. I'm in the middle of that process, I think. But I've always been entrepreneurial. And so when I first moved here, started with the window cleaning business, got into carpet cleaning. It was great owning my own business, and I love the hustle of owning your own business. But definitely not passionate about window cleaning or carpet cleaning. So I was like, how do I put my passion and, make a living together? And CrossFits were starting to pop up all over. And I was like, I think this is the time to strike, strike while the iron's hot. Right. So that's what I did, and just put my passion together. It's a very simple business model. Limited equipment, you got an empty box, you just get people together. If you have the knowledge and the enthusiasm, you can do this. And I believe that I could do it. And so launched on myself and made it happen. Started in a single car garage in our house with about 10 people, and then ended up moving into where we're at now, which is it's an old mechanic shop. So about 2,500 square feet.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I will say, having been at your gym, it's a very impressive setup. And
Oh, thank you.
I would call it small but mighty. You don't need a
Yeah, there you go.
60,000 square foot. You don't need every, squat, leg press, leg curl machine under the sun. Just
Sure.
keep to the basics and make it work. And, I like that you kind of have that business, entrepreneur, and fitness background. You were very active and athletic growing up by the sounds. And I think that there's a ton of commonalities between the business world and the health and fitness world. Every day is going to be a little bit different. None of the results that you want are going to happen overnight. You have to be consistent and continue to chip away at, long-term, big picture kind of goals.
100%.
and it always requires a lot of hard work and dedication. Even on the days that, you might not feel like giving it, you still have to show up and check the box, even if it is only a 15-minute workout or 15-minute session. Looking at your clients and everything that you have at Chuckwalla, would you say there's any kind of like common trend to that? Like, do you get a lot of people from the business world, or have you noticed like the ones that you do train from the business world are, more into the CrossFit style of workout, I'll say?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we have a lot from the business world per se, but it's North Central Phoenix, a lot of young families, which is, I'd say, the majority of our clientele. Just hardworking individuals that want to stay fit and healthy. That's like the bulk of the gym. Lots of kids running around. I think we had 11 babies born in a 12-month period one year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So kids are everywhere. I offered free childcare from the very beginning. It was part of my wife and I's kind of vision, is to have childcare a priority. Not a lot of CrossFit gyms offer that. Sometimes you get a lot of the younger competitive crowds in there, and there's not really room or space for kids. And so that was, I got 4 kids. And so it's just kind of like one of our priorities that we had. So I think we attract that. So a lot of the young families. But at the same time, it's like, we're all there to have fun and be fit. And I don't think we have like, there could be some stereotypes of some CrossFit gyms where you get like kind of the egos and things like that. That's not the type of gym we are. We're very family friendly and just open to everybody. But at the same time, I love to compete. And at the same time, like we push very hard. And so I think that tension right there of like, this isn't everything, but this is still important. And so having that balance is kind of like the vibe of our gym. We don't have a lot of competitors, but we have a couple. But everyone competes every day, and that's what makes it fun. And we all got each other's backs, and we just enjoy being with each other. And I think that's why I continue to do this, and I don't ever want to quit. It's because I just love the people that I'm with every day.
I love that. I love that. And, if you build that kind of lifestyle for yourself, you probably feel like you're not even working most of the time.
It's true.
But
I'm working all the time, but at the same time, yeah.
Right. I'm stuck on this point though. You mean to tell me that it's possible to still be fit and active with a family? Like you don't have to just succumb to, the dad bod?
Absolutely. I think that's probably like, I don't project it, maybe. I don't know if I do or not, but that's one of my kind of internal passions, is that just because you get married and have kids doesn't mean that you have to just let everything else go. Just because you're busy, you're trying to run business, you're trying to work hard, it doesn't mean that you let your body go. And in fact, what I've noticed is that it works in reverse or inverse, that the more emphasis you put on yourself and your physical capabilities, your mental capabilities, that goes hand in hand in fitness, as you know, that projects into the rest and translates into the rest of your life, and actually makes for more energy with your family, improves your relationships, and improves your quality of life to enjoy getting older. And so for me, I want to be able to be 80 years old and take care of myself, for one. I don't want to have someone to have to wipe my butt every day, just being honest. And I want to be able to get up and down and move, hopefully with grandkids and things like that. And so I know it's like a long ways away, but life is short, and I want to live it to the fullest. And I want others to be able to see that as well, and to see that, hey, you can be the strongest version of you and continue to get stronger. We have athletes in our gym, they're the strongest they've ever been, and they're in their 40s, even in their 50s, and they're stronger than they've ever been their entire life. So it just shows like, wow, this is amazing. This is possible. You don't have to just be like, oh, that was my 20s, I was fit then. And I think that's where I have to do a better job communicating to the public about, hey, you may have been fit in your 20s, or maybe you have no background, right, with fitness or anything like that, and now you're 35 or you're 40 years old. You have a whole life ahead of you. Like, the human body is amazing. It can transform itself even later in life. You just got to get past the mentality of, that part is over, or I used to be this, or I can never be that. So that kind of self-talk that most people have, that's where we have to like, okay, you got to get rid of that. You got to believe that you're going to be the best version of yourself, the further you move along in life, not the other way around. So
Yeah, I love that you bring that up. I mean, plain and simple, I've seen people in their 40s who are confined to nursing homes and can't live independently. And likewise, there's 80-year-olds running marathons. So
absolutely.
age really is but a number. And the actions or inactions that you choose every single day will either put you closer towards the former or the latter of those two situations. And, I'm not here to tell you one is right and one is wrong. It's everyone's life and they can do
Sure.
whatever they want with it.
100%.
However, I personally would rather be on the 80-year-old running marathon side, kind of like yourself, as opposed to the, 40-year-old who's confined to a nursing home and can't even walk independently. So again, everyone can make the choice for themselves, but I think that if you take small actions day in and day out and move yourself closer to where you want to be, then as you mentioned, it's not going to just help you physically, it's going to help you mentally, emotionally, and all these other facets of life, and push you closer towards just improved quality of life. I think that there's like no system in the body that doesn't benefit from exercise. So finding something that you love, that you enjoy, with a good community, and oh, by the way, you can fit it into your day. You don't have to worry about 2 hours of childcare or something like that.
Mhm.
I think that's an essential thing for everyone, especially those in that Phoenix area, because you got some hardworking people there, and that's a rough climate to be in too. I was dying in that heat there last summer.
It gets hot. Now I'm all cold in the beanie on. It's like 70 degrees today. So no,
um,
I hear you. Yeah, 100%.
And I'll also say that one of the things that I liked from your gym is the fact that you actually pushed people outside. Like, you kind of push people to get outside of the gym walls, so to speak. I think a lot of people think of a gym and they think of, this, dark, poorly lit area with some kind of music that they probably don't like playing. And they're just going to go in there, jump from machine to machine and slave away for an hour or two, maybe run on a treadmill, and then they'll leave. Whereas you're kind of like, let's open up the doors, let's go outside, let's move around, let's play good music, let's do things that people actually want to do and make this engaging, as opposed to just another thing that you go through the motions for.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if it's going to be a part of your life and lifestyle, then you got to enjoy it. Like, it's not a duty that you have to do. Even with like eating healthy or things like that, it's like, don't pick foods that are disgust you. Like, there's ways to eat healthy, to find foods that you enjoy. You want to enjoy the process. And I feel like, just like, I'm glad that's the vibe that you got from it. I love that we got those big garage doors that we can open up. We have an outdoor rig. We go in and out. Obviously, our weather allows for it. And we can go run on the canal, but that's living life. So it's kind of like that. It's actually a good kind of picture of like what fitness should be, where it's like you're living life, but you're using your fitness. And so we kind of combine the two, where I feel like the community and the relationships that are happening in there, the friendships that are being built, that's life. We're just living life, but we're also accomplishing the goals that we have, as far as, getting stronger, getting fit. But it's this kind of blend, where this overlap between the two, and you kind of just, I've never actually thought of it the way that you just described it, where it's kind of like, I see that happening with the doors open. It's like an outdoor indoor, where you're kind of allowing real life to happen while you're still, trying to work on your fitness. And it's not just this regimented dark place I have to go to and check the box off.
Right. Most people don't like going through the motions of things. They like doing
No.
things that they care about and they're passionate about. And as you mentioned before, you've really done a great job at fostering a community at your gym. What have been the things that you've done that kind of help develop that or grow that community outside of just the normal, workouts and that sort of thing?
Yeah, obviously, like, the CrossFit style group training is going to have just a natural um, overflow, as far as that makes, just naturally kind of cultivates that, right? Just
Mhm.
on its own. But I think the things that we do additionally is that one of my core values is intentionality. So having intention in your relationships, or when you're coaching, I'm not just giving a cue, but I'm actually helping Susie or whoever, right? Be a better person. And so when you think of it that way, when you think of them as a human being that's trying to better themselves, it's trying to be the best version that they can be of themselves, and they're trying to improve. It's not just like I'm just correcting bar path or whatever. It's like I'm improving this person's life, and whether I see that result right then or there, or never see it, it doesn't matter. It's in that moment, in every moment that I have with any client, it's the intention that we put on it. So it's like one of the first things I ever wrote down when I was writing like core values and mission statements, all that kind of stuff when I was starting the business, I told the coaches, I said, every person matters. So every person that walks in the door, they matter. So if you just have that philosophy in your mind, thinking about every person that walks in the door matters, then you're going to treat them that way. And so if you treat every person as if they matter, they're valued, they're important, whether I know they're going to sign up or whether I know they're just visiting for a day or whether I going to have them as a client for 10 years, it doesn't matter. I'm going to treat them the same, and I'm going to treat them with the respect that they deserve as a human, of course, but also knowing that this is a possible catalyst for just life improvement and for some people changing their life completely. So.
And I'll say you even go a step further. I mean, you were doing barbecues and you did a free
Oh
workout
yeah.
every now and then.
Yeah.
Like, not many gyms I know even do that kind of
Yeah.
stuff anymore. Like, you have made the statement that you care, but you go further and you show action and take, regular events and all these different things for the people that are in your community, that I think take it a step further. And again, that's something I don't see often, hardly ever really from any other gym. And it's one of those things. It's like it can be difficult to recommend gyms to people sometimes, because I know of places like what you have, or like where I'm at right now in Fruitland here at Athlete Academy, and there's just not many places like that out there, and I don't understand why. Like, you go above and beyond, but it's like, shouldn't this be the standard for everyone everywhere?
Yeah, I think it should. I mean, it goes back to just enjoying life with people and living life. It's like, if we're living life together, then what do we do together? We have barbecues, we go have fun, we do events outside of the gym. We practice our fitness outside of the gym. We had a really good time doing Ragnar race the beginning of the month. We had 2 teams do that, and that was just a really good team building deal. And we're out in the desert running for however 15 miles each, and not super enjoyable physically, but we love doing challenges together. And yeah, it's all the things, all the events that we plan throughout the year. I think just we want to build the community, we want to stay tight, and we want to enjoy ourselves with each other. So let's go have fun.
Yeah, definitely. And that philosophy seems to work well, not just for your gym, but for you personally. As we
Absolutely.
mentioned earlier, you compete both CrossFit and Olympic weightlifting, I believe. And then you just had, I think it was last year, you were first in something. I can't remember what exactly. Fill me in here.
Sure. Yeah, I love the Olympic weightlifting. As a master's athlete, there's not like I wouldn't say there's like a ton of competition in it, but I just love getting on the platform, and it goes kind of back to just being an individual athlete from gymnastics, where kind of all eyes on you. You got judges, and you just have to perform in that moment. So yeah, I took first place in my division for the state championship last year, and then I did the same thing again this year. And this year they actually changed some of the rules where they combined the state events with the regional event. So Nevada, Utah, Arizona, I think New Mexico, those states were all competing in the state championship, and then they took the winner of the whole region. And I was also able to win that this year. So that was just a lot of fun. I love to compete, and I love to win when I can. So I did that, and still, lifting heavy weight the older I get, which is a lot of fun. And then last year, in December, I competed in CrossFit. It was a sanctioned CrossFit Masters event, which was exclusive for Masters athletes. That's the Legends Championship. That was a lot of fun in San Diego last year. It was invited. The whole world was invited to that worldwide competition. We had some games athletes that were competing there, and ended up taking second place at that. And that was a hardcore, like, 4-day CrossFit competition. I think we did 11 events over 4 days. So they wanted to kind of make that one really comparable to the CrossFit Games, but it was exclusive to the Masters athlete. So there was no other distractions with, the individual events, which is a lot of fun. All eyes on us, we're the center of the stage. And we actually had the CrossFit Games announcers that have done the announcement, the commentating for the CrossFit Games for the last however many years. They were, announcing our names. You got Andy Sakamoto, saying your name and everything, which was cool. And then you do little interviews with them if you want to heat. So that was a lot of fun. But I think I'm going to continue to compete as long as I possibly can. I'm always open to trying to make the CrossFit Games, and I actually age up this year. So I'm 39. I'm 39 right now. But however old you'll be in August or whatever the time of the CrossFit Games, that's your competition age. So I'll actually be turning 40 in June, and so I'll age up. But in the Open, I'll actually still be 39. So I'll be at the young end of it. And so I'm hoping that going into this division, I probably have the best chances of making the Games that I've ever had. And I'm going to take that pretty serious for the next 3 months until the Open starts and see what we can do.
Over the hill, as they say.
Over the hill.
So,
oh, man.
What was it like during that competition? You mentioned that there was 4 days in a row of just intense competition. I mean, can your training really prepare you for 4 days in a row of like that intense level competition? Or is it the kind of thing that you just mentally rely on one another to get through? Or what's it like when you're kind of in the heat of the moment there?
Shout out to Tino. Tino is the programmer for Invictus training. So I hired Tino to train me for, to be a competitive Masters athlete. And the Invictus program, I'm sure you've heard of that. They're out in San Diego, and did remote training with him. And he really prepared me. I didn't realize, I've been doing this a long time, but to compete at that level and be prepared for 4 days, 11 events, high intensity and all that, the amount of volume that it really takes to be prepared for that is even more than I imagined. You follow these Games athletes that are working out all day long, and it literally is. So it's 4 to 6 hours of training a day. A lot of zone 2 and just kind of even bodybuilding work that you're doing. A lot of it's all the little things, right? So it's the longer bike rides, the longer rowing, the isolated muscle group exercises that you're doing that you typically won't do if you just go to a CrossFit class, right? All those things will help build your base and kind of strengthen your weaknesses to have you completely prepared for whatever's thrown at you in competition. So going into competition, I was super excited, super nervous, but I was definitely prepared for it. I had a chance, I almost, took gold up there. Competing against guys that were at a very high level, some even in the CrossFit Games, and to come, in second place was just unbelievable for me. But yeah, it's just, I think I was prepared. I think that it's funny when I'm texting Tino some of these hard workouts he's giving me, I'm like, dude, I don't think I'm as good as you think I am because of what he programmed for me, right? I'm like, I can barely complete this workout. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm not that good because the workouts were so hard. And then his response is, he's like, good. That means in competition, it's going to feel easy. And it's like, oh, okay. So we kind of overloaded, right? And so by the time you get to competition, I'm so used to doing 3, 4, 5 workouts a day. My body's actually prepared for it. If I hadn't done that training, I wouldn't have been prepared for it. I might have had a couple good events, my specialty or whatever, but I wouldn't have been able to last a sustain to the final day. Cause you get to Sunday and it's like your body's toast, So I had the endurance to hold on and finish strong, and had one of my best events on the last event. So yeah, shout out to Tino and CrossFit Invictus or Invictus athlete and everything they've done for me. So.
Yeah, and I love how you as a coach are not afraid to go somewhere and get a coach yourself. That's something that I've noticed continues to come up time after time, and that doesn't matter if I'm talking with, an NPC bikini competitor to a CrossFit athlete to whatever, is the athletes who are very serious about their competition often get a coach themselves. And I think that there's something to be said about like our own biases when we are writing our own programs. At least for me, I find that I always resort to weighted pull-ups and weighted dips because I'm good at them. When in reality, I should probably do a little bit more strict conventional deadlifting. So I think it's important for people who are listening, if you are, a trainer, a coach, and you want to compete, like, don't be afraid to get a coach yourself. I mean, we can't all know every single thing there is to know after all.
Yeah, and I think another important part of that is the accountability and having an objective eye outside of yourself makes a big difference too. And it's confirming that when I'm selling people on my coaching, is that I truly believe they need a coach. It's like anyone can just go and train. Like, the amount of equipment you need to get in shape is not a lot. Anyone can do it. Like, you can go to a park and get in shape. But to have that the accountability, have another eye objectively look at you and see your movement patterns, not only your movement pattern, but even just, I think you might know this, but a lot of getting in shape and competition and business is about mindset, right? So there's the mindset component too. If you're just in your own head constantly, you can have all the things perfect on paper, the perfect program written out. But if your mindset isn't correct, you don't have someone that understands your mindset and can kind of know when to push and when to back off, then that's a game changer as well. And people don't always think about that.
Or even if you do have the perfect program, how does it adjust and flex and accommodate to your life? Because
Exactly.
maybe you've got a family and those kids kept you up late, which I'm sure never happens. I don't have any kids that I know of anyways.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure that life never throws curveballs at anyone and
oh no,
everything is just
never.
smooth sailing from start to finish. But having someone who can help you adjust what you're doing to the demands of your daily life is only going to help you more because it's one less thing that you have to think about. And if you are absolutely exhausted from, getting kicked at 2 a.m. and saying, move over, I had a nightmare, then you're at least going to have someone who's going to hear that out and adjust your program instead of just continuing to add more stressors to your life. If you were able to follow that.
No, 100%. And sometimes just a simple conversation, or just even to be able to be heard and understood, so that going to this training, you don't have a negative mindset of like, oh, I'm not good enough because I'm feeling tired today, right? It's like, no, when you have an outside perspective, a pro who's been able to see um, over a long period of time, what works, what doesn't work. Say, no, it's okay. Like, take a rest day to day, or, hey, do X, Y, and Z, make sure you get that done, but then don't do the rest. Those little things like that are huge. And to just do all of that on your own, it's pretty much impossible. So yeah, I mean, if anyone's serious about competing, or even just getting in shape, I highly recommend getting a coach for sure.
So what are you doing to prepare for your upcoming competitions in 2023? Any changes, anything different, or same of the past stuff that worked well for you?
Yeah, mostly of the past stuff that's worked. Unfortunately, I got sick a couple times during the summer. I think all of us have gotten COVID at least once, right? So I got hammered pretty hard in the beginning of June, and then I got hit again even harder at the end of June. And so it was like
Wow.
right when I was recovering, I got hammered, and that one took another month to recover from. And it was just, for me though, it's like, okay, I know where I'm at, but I still have to keep moving forward. I'm not going to quit. And that's the whole thing with the kind of where I've been for the last even, few months, is just show up. Or if I have like a little bit of a nagging injury or something like that, just show up. And I say, do what you can. Right. So there's been a lot of just do what you can. Over the last few months, I feel healthy right now, and I feel like I can start to really push, which is good as far as the timing of the open and things like that. So I'm getting back to some of the Invictus training, and then back to those long volume days, and give it a shot. So yeah, pretty much going back to kind of the old, but the process looks a lot different this year than it did last year, where I had this kind of steady training all the way through summer, no hiccups along the way, where I had a few hiccups, this year, and just doing what I can, and now kind of ramping up again right now. So
Right. As we mentioned, sometimes life happens and you have to flex and
absolutely,
accommodate your training accordingly.
100%.
Now, outside of the gym, how about nutrition, sleep, all those other, low-hanging fruit things that I'm sure have nothing to do with performance, right?
Yeah.
How have you been able to dial those in for high-level competition, and how do you help the people who come to your gym kind of set themselves up for success in those endeavors?
Yeah. It's simple, but it's hard, right?
Mhm.
So the prescription is always simple. The path to success is basically math. The path is math, right? It's like 2 + 2 = 4. But to your point, life doesn't work that way. So I think it's just setting yourself up for the hiccups that have, like, expecting the unexpected kind of a thing. So it's like, I know realistically I'm not going to get perfect sleep every night, but I'm prepared for that, right? So I'm trying to regiment, especially with the family. Like, we try to regiment. My wife's really good at being strict with bedtimes and things like that for the kids. But we have kids that wake up constantly through the night. It's just inevitable. So again, it goes back to do what you can, but it also kind of be prepared as best you can as far as how you set up your routines and your schedule. So we know, hey, at this time I go to bed. This time I'm waking up. I have certain class times at the gym that I go early to. And then you just got to basically plug it in the calendar, and then have your non-negotiables. So your non-negotiables are like the things that are set there. It's like, no, I have to get this done regardless. I have to get this amount of protein in because this is what I do to become successful. I made a little short video about this the other day, about how, when we brush our teeth, it's just such a part of our routine, because it's a non-negotiable that we have. I think most people have, right? Where it's like, you wake up, it's not like, I don't feel like doing this today, or something came up and I'm just going to skip brushing my teeth for 3 days. That doesn't happen. It's like, no, I have to go brush my teeth first before I leave. Like, you just make sure that it happens. And so with fitness and with sleep and with nutrition, all these things, you just got to set up a couple of non-negotiables that that you're going to stick to. And knowing, also being prepared that, like, hey, life happens and I might not be able to hit that 100%, but at least your structure and your calendar is built around it. And then you have you have contingencies or whatever. So if something happens and takes away that time, then I know I can make up for it at this time, or I just move on and do what you can. And then just be okay with that. But it's always moving forward. It's never like, oh, I messed up, now I'm just going to go back, or I'm going to quit, or I'm done with that. And I think that's the mentality sometimes that people get into too much, is it's all or nothing. And so if I'm not all in, then I'm all out. And that's probably the biggest struggle I have. But I try to help people the most with in the gym is like, hey, you weren't perfect and no one will be, but that's okay. Just show up. Or what's the next best thing that you can do? For you, it might just be just enter the doors. That's all you got to do, is get through those doors. And that's all I need you to do 3 times a week. Don't worry about anything else. So put it on the calendar. 3 times a week, you're going to walk through these doors. And, or you're going to, have X amount of protein every day, or whatever it is. Right. And you just kind of make these things set up. So your structure and your life is built around it. And you have these non-negotiables, is what I call them. And then allow for flexibility, and don't beat yourself up when you don't, follow through 100%. Just get right back on track and
Right.
keep going.
Right. So you simplify health and fitness for people instead of making it even more complicated than it already is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it should be simple. And when people want to get a little bit more, complex, or they're curious or things like that, we'll go there.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think it's just it's as simple as setting up your calendar, really.
I like it. I like it. And yeah, there's so many deep dives that I love to go down sometimes, but at the end of the day, not everyone needs red light therapy and, cold plunge and cryotherapy and all these different things. Do they
Mm,
help? Yeah, but
mhm.
that's not going to give you 98% of the results that you can get through mastering the basics and doing them very well.
Take care of your big rocks. So there's big rocks that you just got to take care of. Those are little rocks.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sand
100%.
in the jar, the sand in the jar analogy.
There you go. I know what you're talking about. Yeah. You fill that jar and you got the big rocks you take care of, and then the little rocks, and then the sand, and then you get that thing full. But you got to put your big rocks in first.
Yep, completely agree. John, this has been a great episode talking all things health and fitness and talking about Chuckwalla and what sets you guys apart there in Phoenix. Do you have any kind of closing thoughts or closing remarks or anything that you want those listening to take away?
No, I first of all, I just want to say thanks for having me on. And if anything I can leave with people is, I think kind of the couple things that I highlighted that came to mind as we're talking is, for a lot of people, it's just do what you can. It's just show up. And it's, also I would just say, think about who you want to be in 10 years. And that might be hard for some people to do, but think about who you want to be in 20 years. And what are the things that you have to do now, so that in 10 years from now, you don't wake up and be like, what happened? And if you did wake up from 10 years ago and you're asking yourself what happened, know that you still have an opportunity to change and turn things around. And the human body is an amazing thing. It can do pretty much miraculous things. And so all you got to do is make the right decision today.
Yeah, I completely agree. I like that. And John, for people who want to find out more about you and Chuckwalla, where can they find you at?
Yeah. So Instagram, my personal account's kind of my athlete page. I'll have some tips and things on there too sometimes, and mostly me training. But that's just John_Hazdovac. And then our Chuckwalla Fitness page, where we utilize the CrossFit methodology, is Chuckwalla_Fitness.
Perfect. And we'll link to all of that below in case you
Cool.
didn't quite catch it. John, really appreciate your time, man. It's been great catching up with you.
Yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Brawn Body Health and Fitness Podcast. If you liked this episode, please make sure to share it with a friend, subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes, and leave a review. This way we can spread knowledge and motivation and help reach more people. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you next time.